Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to another Skyrim Mods Weekly. This week we have some really incredible mods to look at, especially at the very end, so stay tuned for the end of the video as we have one of the coolest mods that I've ever seen for Skyrim. So, we've got some really cool stuff. Let's go ahead and get started with the first mod. So for our first mod, we are checking out a new crossbow mod, specifically the Ebony Damascus crossbow by Mythic. Now, Mythic says this is actually their first mod in Skyrim ever, which is pretty incredible considering the quality of this mod. Now, in order to obtain this thing, you're actually going to need to smith it, and there are two different versions of the mod that you can download to acquire it. One of which is going to add a new perk that is required to craft Ebony Damascus items, making me think that there are going to be future items by the same mod author in the same classification. Or you can download a separate version that just removes that perk and makes it craftable with regular ebony crafting. This is a super cool crossbow mod. I always like mods that add in crossbow variety, given that there was only one in the base game and it wasn't even added until the DLC. And this one looks fantastic. I really like the Damascus pattern, especially being on ebony, making it super cool to have the contrast in the pattern, especially with the darkness of the ebony. And then it has some really nice touches of ivory, especially on the front there. With what appears to be a dragon's head grasping the front tusk there, it looks super cool. Definitely a nice addition just to have some more crossbow variety. And if you combine this with something like Ordinator, there are patches out there that make these work together. You can really flesh out your crossbow skills and have something nice and new and pretty to use with it. Definitely a great mod, especially for a first attempt. Super cool, really like this one. And also, this mod is available not only for PC, but also for Xbox. The next mod that we're checking out is going to be True Directional Movement by Ersh. Now this mod makes it so that your movement and camera are no longer locked, so you can move freely away from your camera. So your camera can be looking one direction and your character can be moving the other direction. Now this is very nice in terms of utility, especially being able to look at your character when they have their weapons and armor equipped. It's just a nice little bit without having to go into free cam. It also adds a lot more fluid movement into the combat system and really makes you need to pay attention if you're playing in third person when you're swinging your sword. Your direction now does matter, so you need to pay attention to which direction you're facing as well as which enemy you're facing. Now, speaking of enemies, in the vanilla game, it would typically display the health bar at the top of your screen based on which enemy you're looking at, but now that you're moving around freely from your camera, that could get a little bit awkward. So what they've done is also added health bars floating above the enemies. Similar to the style of other RPG games, now the health is tied directly to each enemy, and you can see multiple health bars at once, which is pretty nice. It is important to note that if you're not playing in third person, that maybe this isn't the best feature for you, as this health bar does apply to first person as well. Or maybe that's even a bonus and another reason for you to download this mod. Either way, just make sure you know exactly what you're getting into. It's going to look something like it does on screen. Again, it just removes the tie between the camera as well as your actor's movement. So definitely a great mod, especially for those third person players to have more utility and control over the way their character moves. Awesome work by Ursh. Our next mod is another utility mod by the WankingSkeever, and that is going to be Shovelberry Bodies. Now, you may remember from a couple weeks ago, the WankingSkeever had made another utility mod using miscellaneous items that allowed you to sweep up clutter with a broom. Well, he has now also added utility to the shovels, and as the name suggests, you can use them to bury bodies. And yeah, there's really not a whole lot more to it. You simply equip your shovel and it will immediately start burying the body near your position. Now, there actually is an MCM for this, so if you head in there, you can actually set the amount of time it takes for you to bury said body. Additionally, it does keep track of all the bodies that you have buried. This way, in case you miss some loot on them, or perhaps they're an important NPC that has a quest item, or something to that effect, you can still access their inventory or even teleport them to you if you need to, say, resurrect them. Funny enough, you could use this as a portable storage for bodies if you're playing, say, a conjuration character, to bring back bodies that you could then raise for the dead. Just a thought. And of course, I had to test murdering a handful of people in Riverwood, stacking them together and seeing if they would all be buried at once, and the answer is actually no. The mod will bury them one at a time, as it does keep track of those bodies individually, so you'll have to do the bury instance 3 times to bury all 3 bodies. Pretty interesting. I could definitely see this being used in, say, a Dark Brotherhood questline where you're trying to be sneaky and cover up all of the assassinations that you're doing. Super interesting, and as always, great work by WankingSkeever. Our next mod is the Havskirk by Ronnie Magnum. This is a nice, beautiful war axe added into Skyrim. This thing is actually one of a kind, so you will not be finding it out into leveled lists, and you also cannot craft it. Instead, you will have to find the unique version, which is actually right above the Dawnstar Brotherhood hideout over in Dawnstar. Simply head north a little ways, and you will find a boat crashed upon the shore, which will have a chest that has the Havskirk inside of it. And that's pretty much it. It doesn't have any fancy enchantments on it. It's just a beautiful looking unique war axe. But I actually like that because then you can put your own enchantments on it. This thing has a base weight of 12, a base damage of also 12 with a critical damage of 9. Again, has no enchantments, has a reach of 1. And if you want to improve this thing, you're actually going to need the Elven Smithing perk. I really do love the design of this war axe. The twists all up and down the handle are super, super cool. And war axes are honestly one of my favorite weapon classes inside of Skyrim, which makes this a perfect fit for my load order. This is just a nice little treat. I love having individualized weapons scattered throughout my world, as it just makes sense. There would be unique weapons. Not every sword and axe is going to be the same, so having something special like this that's also named is very cool. And not every mod has to have a fancy enchantment or crazy feature. Throwing in mods like this just really add life to your game. And this mod not only has a special edition version, but also a legendary edition, which is super cool. Like with all mods in this video, if you want to try it for yourself, it will be linked down in the description below. And the final mod that we'll be checking out for this video is the Skyrim Paraglider mod by Loki and NickNak. This mod is going to add a fully functional paraglider similar to that of Breath of the Wild. Now, in order to get this thing in the first place, you're going to have to head out the east gate of Falkreath. If you keep heading down the road, you will eventually meet a crossroads where you will be greeted with a new NPC, Fred. Well, greeted is definitely one word for it. Simply search his body and you will find a note detailing his exploits with the paraglider. Then you can head up to where he was actually jumping from and find yourself a brand new paraglider that is in fresh condition. Once you've obtained it, you can now paraglide just about anywhere. Simply jump up into the air, hit the activate button, which would be typically E, I believe, on PC, and then your paraglide will activate and you will start floating around the skies. And this thing has a good bit of distance. You can really travel places with this thing. And in a survival type game mode where you don't have areas unlocked, this is a very good means for travel. Now, just a heads up, whenever you try to go download this thing, it isn't as simple as just downloading from the Nexus and clicking enable. There are a few steps you have to jump through, but if you've downloaded anything like F4SE, you should be just fine. There's a lot of detailed tips on Nemesis's website, as well as a link to a video there that can help you install it. But once you've done all that, you have a very cool new mod. Definitely an interesting thing, and of course I immediately had to find out if I jumped from High Hrothgar, or the Throat of the World rather, how far could I make it? And the answer was the edge of the map. You can literally get all the way across Skyrim with this mod, which is super cool. Definitely an interesting mod, and one of the coolest things I've seen in a long time. And with that, we bring this video to a close. I hope you enjoyed all of the mods featured. If you want to try any of them, they will be linked in the description down below, as well as their special edition, legendary edition, or even Xbox links if they are available. And if you did enjoy any of these mods, don't forget to endorse them. Support the mod authors any way you can, show your appreciation for all their hard work, and if you enjoyed this video, drop a rating. Subscribe if you haven't already for more videos just like this, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace! And really quick, I'd like to make a shout out to all of our patrons. Your donations are greatly appreciated and really help to support the channel and videos just like this one. So again, thank you.